And again, what you are watching is the annual Correspondents' Dinner that happens in Washington, D.C. this year at the Hilton. This was the first time President Trump was attending as president when suddenly all of this chaos broke out.
Yeah, we heard from multiple videos and according to reports from some of the journalists in that room that they talked to witnesses hearing what were possibly gunshots coming from a room adjacent to the ballroom there at the Washington Hilton. This is again about almost an hour ago now. The journalists at that time we were hearing from Gabe Gutierrez said he himself did not hear the gunshots, but said that he had spoke with one witness who told him that they heard what they believed were gunshots coming from a room, possibly above the ballroom, and that the Secret Service were there clearing out different parts, not just the ballroom you see here. This is a live picture of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, but also the hotel itself. They've been sweeping the hotel to make sure that it is safe. NBC News also reporting that the president was last seen on his way back to the White House, and we can report from Garrett Hake, who you heard there just moments ago, that no one from the president down to any other journalist or anyone in the room was injured during this incident.
Secret Service has been sweeping this area, though, and you see people are still there. They had talked early on about resuming. Hard to believe, but there are still people in the ballroom right now, and one of them is our very own Telemundo anchor, Dunia Elvir. Can you, Dunia, if you hear us, tell us what happened, what you heard, what you saw, and what's happening right now?
Well, what's happening right now, I hope you can hear me well. We are in lockdown, total lockdown. They're not letting us go out. I'm going to show you here so you can hear me better. Everyone is inside. What we heard was screams, a lot of rush. And as soon as the agents, armed agents came in, I saw a lot of producers, reporters, people in general going straight to the floor. There were plates and different trays also going to the floor, chairs to the floor, because it was a very scary situation when you're not expecting something like that. I personally am on the right side of the stage that I'm showing you right now. So I'm on this side over here. And I saw when the agents came with their long arms and instantly they took the president. And then another group came through the area that we were on this side right here, just screaming, Secret Service, and they went and took the other officials that were in the front of the crowd. So anyone that is part of the government, either Democrat or Republican, they took them out right away. And then after that, it was the lockdown. And we don't have an official announcement what really happened. But right after everything, approximately 4 or 5 minutes, the president of the White House Correspondents Association came on the mic and she said that they're going to resume shortly and they're going to give us an information of what's going on. But in this moment, they were just asking for our patience. So as you can see, everybody's in here. Everybody's trying to get a signal. The signal's really poor, too. I don't know if you can hear me, Kathy.
Here with Kathy. Dunia, we can hear you just fine. We also understand, look, some of the people in the videos we've reviewed appeared to react. Others did not. What did you hear? When did you realize something was wrong?
That's the tricky part because it was through the middle, through here. I can show you. I don't know if you can see my hand showing
right
through that picture of the White House. It was through the middle that it was like a very awkward situation in the table, people on top of people. And then suddenly we realized something was going on. I know it's going to sound exaggerated, but I saw people just flying, going to the podium. And then I realized these were members of the Secret Service trying to get as fast as they could to the president. And they all surrounded him. And that's when I realized something was going on. And people then started realizing, and a lot of people went on the floor. But you're right. It's a very big room. So if you're far from the stage, you didn't realize until you saw the agents with their arms. The ones that were closer were the ones that actually realized right away that something was happening.
Well, we've heard conflicting reports. Some people say they heard loud noises. Others are saying they heard nothing prior to Secret Service rushing the room. Did you hear anything?
it sounded like, for example, when you drop something, when you trip on something. So it was loud, but it wasn't something that make you think there's danger situation. It make you think like, oh, someone tripped, someone fall. It was very like confusing per se, because it's like, oh, someone fall, and then I stand up right away. You know, I'm really short, so I got up on the chair and I started looking and filming, and then I realized all these people were just going to the floor, some of them. And it wasn't like a big, loud situation because, like I'm telling you, I don't know if you can see my camera moving from the right to the left. It's a very, very big room, and there's hundreds of people here. So the ones all the way to my left or the ones all the way to my right wouldn't be able to see or hear what was going on because the room is so big. And some people were talking. It was the moment of the salad serving for saying. It was just right after they introduced the president. They did the national anthem, and it was like a little break time. Some people can eat, and no one was speaking. So it was kind of like one of those noises that you don't know if someone tripped or someone dropped something until after, when you saw the people flying, when you realized that it was more serious than just someone falling.
And Dunia, you said you're on lockdown now. So no one's allowed to leave at this point. Is there a police presence there? Are they asking you questions? What's happening?
No, none of that. Let me see if I can show you the doors. Tell me if my image doesn't get lost, but I don't know if you can see those doors over there. All the doors are closed, so everybody's inside. There's no police inside the room right now. There's no officers, there's no armed agents. It's just us, the media, journalists, people in the room. They did stop the service. Everybody's just waiting because they told us that they're going to resume right away. And since you can't go anywhere, so you're just kind of hanging around waiting to hear what is the update. But no armed officers. There's no one in here right now. It's just us waiting to see what they tell us. And I don't know if you can see my signal, but everybody's on their phones. Everybody's trying to make reports, trying to inform their newsrooms what's going on.
And that's perhaps why the signal's breaking up just a bit, but we can see it, Dunia, and we're glad that you're okay. I want to give a little update to our viewers here. Janine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., she was in the room. She said that she was taken out after the sound of shots fired. She said that she actually heard shots being fired. And when you say they're resuming, what exactly are they telling you now?
I don't know if you can hear, but they're just announced right now that the program will resume. So they're inviting everybody to take their seats right now.
All right, we understand, too, Trump just wrote a post on Truth Social saying a shooter has been apprehended at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But he said, let the show go on. So we're seeing that now.
Different information about someone at the lobby, but we don't have anything confirmed here.
We see it now on our screen, Dunia. So it says that he wrote a post on Truth Social. A shooter has been apprehended at the Correspondents' Dinner. Quite an evening in D.C. Secret Service and law enforcement did a fantastic job. They acted quickly and bravely. The shooter has been apprehended. I recommend let the show go on.
Well, and that's exactly what they just announced, Kathy, that the show will go on right now. And it seems like they're going to resume in a few minutes. I do see movement from afar. I know the signal's poor, but I see people moving around to the stage to resume. Obviously, the special guests from the White House, including the president, I'm assuming no one's coming back. So the program's going to take a shift from what they had expected, you know?
Yeah, the president actually mentioned that. Needless to say, this is now the third incident, at least, that the president has been this close to gunfire. There was the assassination attempt just before the election in 24. You know, then there was the incident, Kathy, outside of his golf course there in Florida, in Mar-a-Lago. And now this here at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the first time the president choosing to attend this dinner as president, did not attend during his his first term. He also added, Dunia, to your point, saying that law enforcement will make a decision shortly on whether to go on. It sounds like they have, but he did also add, regardless of that decision, the evening will be much different than planned, and we'll just, quote, plain have to do it again. What are the conversations that you're hearing or have you had with other journalists in the room about what is going on here?
We'll have an update from the podium.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on. What they're telling us right now is that they're inviting everybody to take their seats, and they're going to resume right now with the event.
Dunia, how do you feel about that? Do you feel safe to stay? How do other people feel? Are they acting like they want to stay and resume dinner?
I think we feel safe. It was just unexpected. I'm going to be honest with you from a personal perspective. This was my first time at the White House Correspondents Association dinner, so I was very, very excited to be here and to be able to connect and enjoy an evening with colleagues. It was a highlight of my weekend. And after seeing this, I can't lie to you. At first, I was shaken, nervous, afraid. I thought I should leave. And then I realized, you know what? I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm part of this community, because you see people supporting people. Some of the guests here went straight to the floor in a panic attack. And it was kind of like comforting, seeing colleagues comforting people that were in that situation. I don't know. I think I'm a tough cookie, so I didn't get that afraid. But I got a little bit shaken, you know.
Understandably so, Dunia. We're glad that obviously you're okay, that everyone else in that room is okay as we continue to try to gather more information. I understand we may have an update right now from the Secret Service, or we're trying to get you that update, rather, from the Secret Service, something that they've posted to X in the last few moments. So right now we are working on getting that. So we are approaching about the 1 hour mark since the president, the vice president, the first lady, and other high-ranking officials were evacuated from the Washington Hilton in D.C. during the White House Correspondents Association dinner. This is an annual dinner with journalists and high-ranking politicians that happens every year, though this was the first time the president had made the decision to actually attend this. There were some sort of loud bangs that happened in a room, according to multiple witnesses, just adjacent to this ballroom, potentially above the ballroom. We're still trying to confirm whether or not those were gunshots. The president did, though, say that a shooter was apprehended in a quick post. So I believe we do have that Secret Service post. If we can pull it up here. This is from Anthony Guglielmi, the chief of communications with the Secret Service, writing, quote, "The U.S. Secret Service, in coordination with the Metropolitan Police Department, is investigating a shooting incident near the main magnetometer screening area at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The president and the first lady are safe, along with all protectees. One individual is in custody. The condition of those involved is not yet known, and law enforcement is actively assessing the situation," unquote. So there you have it. The U.S. Secret Service now confirming there was a shooting that took place there outside of the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah, we want to just reiterate that the president is fine. Everybody who was on the table, they were ushered out. No one inside who was eating dinner at the time. And this came at such an awkward time. They were just getting started. Everyone was just settling in. The program was beginning. And then suddenly, as Dunia explained, you could hear things happening, something. She said it was like a sound, and then, of course, everybody rushed in. You heard plates flying, and people were trying to dive under dinner tables, because at this point, no one knows what's happening.
As we were coming on the air, we were reviewing some videos of the moments where everything happened, and what struck me was the fact that only about half the room seemed to know something was amiss. And the president, all the way in the back of the room, the first lady, they were talking to Oz Perlman, Oz the mentalist. He was set to be tonight's host of this program. He was speaking to them. Everything seemed fine when suddenly you saw Secret Service agents quickly rush onto the stage. They took the president down to the floor, ordered everyone in the room to get on the ground. We saw journalists ducking under their tables, laying on the ground, and we heard about 4 or 5, now we know, gunshots somewhere coming from outside of the room. It's still unclear exactly where. It sounded like the security screening area, as you can imagine, with the president, the vice president, and other high-ranking officials here, Kathy, that the security screening was a part of possibly a big area, given that there are hundreds, potentially more than 1,000 people in this room.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes we carry this. We watch them going in. They're in single file. They go in. They're screened. A long line of people dressed elegantly for the big night. People look forward to this. This is huge in Washington, D.C. To have an invitation is such a coup. And, we're hearing right now John Webscam. We want to get this to you. It's a quote. There are many empty seats inside the ballroom. As event organizers say, the dinner will resume momentarily. Many of the people who left the ballroom are currently unable to get back in. So that is what Dunia was explaining, is that this building went on lockdown at some point. So the people who are inside couldn't get out. Now the people who are outside and evacuated can't get in.
Right now, I believe we have new video in from NBC correspondent Garrett Hake. We want to get to that video. Let's see if we can load it here. So this is clearly just moments after the chaos kind of started. There you see Secret Service agents, as Garrett pointed out earlier, not just the ones in suits, but the ones with heavy, weaponry, rush on stage and immediately begin pulling everyone to safety. The president, the vice president, the first lady, and others who were up there on that stage. They took them to the ground and then evacuated them. We understand that the president was taken back to the White House. Again, everyone is safe. That is something we can report. And now they are even talking, Kathy, about resuming this dinner, which came as a shock, understandably, to many in the room. But this is a rare moment in Washington where all the power players, not just the journalists, but all the politicians, meet in one place for what has become an annual tradition there in Washington, though this is the president's first time attending as president. And
the president issuing that statement on Truth Social saying he wanted the event to go on, but you have to wonder, how can the event go on? As you see, the table is evacuated. You need a host. You need someone to run this. And people are still standing around. They're still talking on their phones. Many reporters now have jumped into action, and they are filing reports for the various news organizations. So the thought that everyone would sit down at this point, journalists also like to talk and share information. So I don't think anyone's going to be quiet at this moment. People want to know what happened here. They're witnessing this live. They've now been part of a live event, and they're going to want to figure out exactly what is going on.
I think Garrett himself, when we last saw him during the special report, was outside of the Washington Hilton where all this is taking place. He said that he was about a block and a half on the edge of what has become a police perimeter. You even see someone on stage basically, describing perhaps what they saw. We don't know who that person is, but again, it just shows you, as you mentioned, these are journalists. They're going to get to work the moment that something like this happens. So we have two situations here where you have hundreds of journalists and potential politicians in the ballroom itself. Still, they are on lockdown. According to Dunia Elvir, a Telemundo 52 anchor who is in the room right now, she is on lockdown. They have received very little information. And then where Garrett was, there was a large group of people outside of the hotel. Again, he was about a block and a half from the hotel itself, on the edge of the police perimeter that he was describing, where there seemed to be a lot of people outside also wondering, are they going to get back in? And of course, Garrett had gone to work and filed that report during that special report just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, and the president urging this to go on, but we understand he may be making his way back to the White House. So we'll be watching this. We'll bring you any more as soon as we get it. But again, no one injured at this correspondents' dinner tonight.